Heart-touching miracles by Shirdi Sai Baba. We all know who is Sai Baba and often listen his miracles or short stories which portray how Sai Baba helped poor, needy and even beggarly people to come out of deprivation, trauma and depression. Real life stories and miracles of the great Saint Sai Baba are beyond imagination and considered phenomenal in the history of India. Baba was an Indian spiritual guru and better known to be a problem solver for his ardent devotees. There are varied miraculous stories and real incidents that exhibit that Baba was superhuman and lived in Shirdi ever after to fathom all the difficulties and obstacles magically and mystically of his dear and avid followers and devotees. Some miracles. In Maharashtra, there is a district named Aurangabad, in which there is a village named Bhutkhedi. Chand Bhai was the Patel of that village. Once he lost his horse. Chand Bhai searched and searched, but to no avail. After travelling 14 kos, he came, on the way, to a mango tree under the foot of which sat a fakir. He had a cap on his head, wakafni, long robe, and had a tsatka, short stick, under his armpit. The fakir asked him about the saddle. Chand Patil replied that it was of his horse which was lost. The queer fellow or fakir asked him to make a search in the Nala close by. He went and the wonder of wonders. He found out the mare. He thought that this fakir was not an ordinary man, but an Awaliya, a great saint. He returned to the fakir with the mare. He requested the fakir to come to his home and accept his hospitality. Next day he went to the Patel's house and stayed there for some time. After some time, there was a marriage ceremony in Chand Bhai's house. The marriage procession went to Shirdi. The fakir also accompanied the marriage party. When the marriage party came to Shirdi, it alighted at the foot of a banyan tree in Bhagat Mahalsapati's field near Khandoba's temple. Bhagat Mahalsapati saw the young fakir getting down and accosted him, "Ya Sai, welcome Sai." Others also addressed him as Sai and thenceforth he became known as Sai Baba. One time, there was an epidemic of cholera in Shirdi. Helpless Shirdi people approached Baba for relief. On this, Baba, after washing his hand and face, took some wheat and started grinding in a hand mill. Then he asked the village people to take the flour and throw it on the village borders. With grace of Baba, from that time onward the cholera epidemic subsided and the people of the village were happy. By grinding wheat here, Baba actually meant that it was not the wheat that was ground but cholera itself was ground to pieces and pushed out of the village. Every night, Sai Baba used to light earthen lamps in the Dwarkamai. For this, he asked the grocers to give him oil. In the beginning, people looked upon Baba as a mad fakir and so the grocers gave him oil just for the fun of it. But soon they got fed up with this daily practice and one day they all refused to give him oil. With the empty oil tin dangling from his hand, Baba came back to Dwarkamai. He put a little water in the oil tin and drank it as if to please the God within. Then he took more water, poured it in the lamps and kindled them one by one. The water lamps burned throughout the night. Those who had come to scoff remained to praise. This incident established the supernatural powers of Baba beyond a shred of doubt. Once Sai Baba was sitting in the mosque, a devotee sat in front of him, when a lizard ticked. Out of curiosity the devotee asked Baba whether the ticking of the lizard signified anything good or was it a bad omen. Baba said that the lizard was overjoyed as her sister from Aurangabad was coming to see her. The devotee sat silent, not making out the meaning of Baba's words. Immediately a gentleman from Aurangabad came on horseback to see Baba. He wanted to proceed further, but his horse would not go as it was hungry and wanted grams. He took out a bag of grams from his shoulders to bring grams and dashed it on the ground to remove dirt. A lizard came out therefrom and in the presence of all climbed up the wall. Baba asked the questioner devotee to mark her well. She at once went strutting to her sister. Both sisters met each other after a long time, whirled round and danced with love. Where is Shirdi and where is Aurangabad for the lizard? How should the man on horseback come there from Aurangabad with the lizard? And how should Baba make prophecy of the meeting of the two sisters? All this is really very wonderful and proves the omniscience, the all-knowing nature of Baba. Long before Sai Baba's fame spread, he was fond of burning lights in his masjid and other temples. But for the oil needed in those little earthenware lights that he lit, he depended on the generosity of the grocers of Shirdi. He had made it a rule to light earthenware lamps in the masjid every evening, and he would call on the grocers for small donations. But there came a time when the grocers got tired of giving oil free to Sai Baba, and one day they bluntly refused to oblige him, saying they had no fresh stocks. Without a word of protest, Sai Baba returned to the masjid. Into those earthenware lamps he poured water and lighted the wicks. The lamps continued to burn deep into the midnight. The matter came to the notice of the grocers, who now came to Sai Baba with profuse apologies. Wouldn't Sai Baba kindly pardon them? Sai Baba pardoned them, but he warned them never to lie again. You could have refused to give me the oil, but did you have to say that you didn't have fresh stocks? He admonished them, but he had made his point. Once, harvesting in Shirdi had been completed and the food grains of the entire village had been stored in a yard. The summer was on. The heat was intense, as only those who have lived in Shirdi know. One afternoon Sai Baba summoned Kondaji Sutar and said to him, "Go, your field is on fire." Frightened, Kondaji ran to his field and frantically looked around for any sign of fire. There wasn't any. He returned to the masjid and informed Sai Baba that he had looked everywhere but had found no trace of fire, and why did Baba have to frighten him? Unfazed, Baba said, "You better turn back and look again." Baba was right after all. Kondaji noticed that a sheaf of corn was indeed on fire and smoke was billowing from it. A strong wind was fanning the fire, and word had gone round to the villagers, who now came running to the scene. "Sai Baba," the people shouted, "help us! Help us put the fire out." Thereupon, Sai Baba walked casually towards the yard, sprinkled some water on a stack of sheaves and said, "There now. The fire will die down." And so it happened. There is the story of one Rao Bahadur Mureshwar Pradhan who had come to Shirdi to take Sai Baba's darshan along with his wife. As the couple were about to leave, it began to rain heavily. Thunder and lightning rent the air. As the Pradhan couple looked round in dismay, Sai Baba prayed, "O Allah," he intoned, "let the rains cease. My children are going home. Let them go peacefully." The storm thereupon ceased, the downpour reduced to slight drizzle, and the Pradhans were able to reach their destination safely. When Sai Baba first came to Shirdi, it had of no basic facilities. There was a well put only in name. It had no natural spring water, and if ever there had been one, it must long ago have dried up. Water had to be fetched from a distance. When, therefore, Sai Baba gave his permission to the villagers to celebrate the Ram Navami fair, Baba's birthday, the big problem facing the organizers was one of water supply. So what should they do but go to Sai Baba with their problem? "Oh yes," said Sai Baba. "So you want plenty of water, do you? Here, take this and drop it in the well and wait and see." This turned up to be a platter of flowers on which some prasad, blessed food, had been placed along with the remnants of alms Baba had received earlier in the day. The villagers had no qualms about doing as they were done. Their faith in Sai Baba was total. No sooner had that platter of leaves been dropped in the well, it is said, water rose from the bottom as if by divine command and completely filled it. And great was the rejoicing of the people. One report has it that word had spread that the 3-year-old daughter of a poor man called Babu Kirwandikar had fallen into the well and had been drowned. When the villagers rushed to the well, they saw the child suspended in midair as if some invisible hand was holding her up. She was quickly pulled out. Sai Baba was fond of that child, who was often heard to say, "I am Baba's sister." After this incident, the villagers took her at her word. It is all Baba's Leela, the people would say philosophically. They could offer no other explanation. These were instances of things they had seen with their own eyes. It was not second-hand information they had gathered. Sai Baba was to them as real as their homes and their fields and their cattle and the distant hills. Das Ganu once had an unforgettable experience. On a festive occasion, he sought Baba's permission to go to a place called Singba on the banks of the Godavari to have a bath in the holy waters. "No," Baba replied resolutely. "Where is the need to go all the way when the Godavari is here right at my feet?" Das Ganu was vexed. He was willing to concede that Ganga, the holy river, Baba frequently referred to Godavari as Ganga, rose from the feet of Sri Narayana, one among the Hindu trinity of gods, himself, but his faith was not deep enough to believe that the waters of the Godavari could spring from the feet of his master, Sri Sai. Baba, who was reading Das Ganu's mind, decided that this was the time to strengthen Das Ganu's faith. He told his devotee, "Come closer to me and hold the hollow of your palms at my feet." As soon as he did so, water flowed freely out of the toes of the master's feet and filled the hollow of Das Ganu's palms in no time. His joy knew no limits. He sprinkled the water on his head and his body and distributed some more among the assembled devotees as tirtha, holy water. There was that other occasion when many thought that the masjid which housed Sai Baba itself would be consumed by fire from the flames which leapt up from the dhuni. All that Baba did was to take some swipes at a wooden pillar in front of him. With every blow the flames subsided and the fire died down. "Miraculous," said his devotees. Often they would notice him stirring some hot concoction over the kitchen fire, not with a ladle but with his bare hands. There never was a time when his hand was scalded. What supernatural powers did he have? On yet another occasion, Sai Baba was partaking of food with 3 of his devotees in the masjid when, without any cause for provocation, he exclaimed, "Stop!" Then, as if nothing had happened, the 4 continued with their meal. Lunch over and the dishes cleared, they stepped out of the masjid, when large chunks of the ceiling fell on the very spot where they had been seated only a few minutes earlier. Did Sai Baba's powers extend even to inanimate matter? The devotees wondered. Instances have been quoted by his devotees as to how Sai Baba commanded the rains to stop and the winds to cease. Understanding Sai Baba.